This is the historic third episode in Grandpa's blog. And I want to say one of the nice things about getting old is the free entertainment you get from your memories. Now, I just went in our freezer and I found these escargot. And the escargot was about $4 for this little plate of escargot, which you put in the microwave, and it's quite delicious. It's a French specialty. And I'm going to ask my sweet honey to put this away now back in the freezer. Here you go, sweet honey. Okay, it's Christmas time in the Riviera, French Riviera. We're still here. And I wanted to talk about the memories that were triggered by that package of escargot. Well, here we are, another exciting day of the Grandpa blog. I'm going to tell you first about one of the few advantages of being old. Now, you lose your short-term memory. You can't even remember the movie you saw last night or what you had for lunch yesterday. But what you lose, you gain in, as I was saying, one of the advantages of getting old is that even though you lose your short-term memory and you can't even remember what you had for lunch yesterday or the movie you saw last night, you start having strange flashes of memories of things of long ago. And so I took out from the freezer this morning a package of escargot, which is a French specialty, snails. And they're quite delicious. And would you believe what happened was that triggered a memory of my first escargot over 80 years ago. And I'm going to tell you that story right now. About 80 years ago, I was in kindergarten. And my little girlfriend of the time, her name was Phyllis Galati. Now, since she'd be 86, I'll bet she's been dead for 20 years, like all my other friends. They're all gone. There's just me left. But anyway, Phyllis, one day we had a big date, and she told me, come over to her house, and she's got a surprise for me. So I went over to her house, and she said, okay, we're going to go downstairs. There's an Italian street fair. Well, I went, and one of the first things that happened was there was a great big pot of boiling snails. And we were both quite rich that morning, having received 1 cent each for our Christmas present. And my grandma, she always gave me a shiny penny, and I had my penny and she had her penny. And guess what? For 2 cents, we were able to get 5 snails for 1 penny. So we had 10 snails to eat. She pulled out a little pin, and we stuck the pin in the snail, ate that snail, which in French you call escargot. And as a little kid, I didn't know that I was supposed to be disgusted by snails, because we ate everything in those days, worms or flies or snails. And these snails had been cooked in salt water, and so they were quite delicious. And imagine today, 5 snails are about $5. In those days, we got 5 snails for 1 cent. So that tells you something about inflation in 80 years. Okay, today's topic, I'm going to talk about investments and how most people make foolish investment decisions, and how the stock market is kind of a game for foolish people, because even though the people advertising stocks, pushing all kinds of newsletters with hot tips, despite that, the average stock market investor loses money, just like I did for many years. Now, I forgot that yesterday on our last vlog, I wore this beautiful hat, super fun, to remind me that that was what I was going to talk about. Because about 25 years ago, after losing a bit of money in the stock market, I saw an advertisement or an article that said, while everything else was going down, Superfund, an investment outfit out of Vienna, was making about 20 to 30% a year. And so I took my remaining money, my bankroll had dwindled to about $1,000. So I took my $1,000 and put it in Superfund. Now at the time I put it in, the Superfund had a 2-year wonderful record. It almost doubled. And so I figured, well, this was a chance for me to make my recent losses back again. And guess what happened? Well, that's the point of this story today. What happened was, I would say within a week of me buying Superfund at $1,000 worth, my $1,000 was worth $400. Can you believe that? So I lost. After Superfund makes 20% a year, in 2 weeks I lose more than half my money. Now, I have discovered that a lot of people, smart people, tend to buy at the top of the market and sell in a panic when whatever they bought almost always goes down. And it reminded me of a musical I had seen on Broadway many years ago. It was about the Rothschilds, rich family from Europe. And the father of the Rothschilds sent his kids, 5 boys, all to 5 different countries. And it turned out that the dad gave each kid a certain amount of money and told them to look around for investment opportunities. And since this was a musical, when the English Rothschild came to London, he saw a dance routine where the song was, tea is hot, buy it now before it goes to the moon, something like that. And so he bought tea and walked off the stage. He had invested all his family money that had been allocated to London to tea futures. And then he comes back on the stage, and guess what? Goes the other direction. Tea is cold, tea is cold, tea is cold. And guess what? He lost all his money. Why? Because he bought at the top when something was hot, and if he didn't buy, he was afraid he would lose the opportunity. But the truth of the matter is, when you buy anything, almost anything, at an all-time high, it has nowhere to go but down. I have a very intelligent lady doctor friend, and she invested in the stock market at an all-time high, and I forgot when it was, but it was about 25 or 30 years ago. Everything went to heck. Oh, we better cross the street before this car comes. Oh, here we go. And she bought it at the top, and when everything dropped within 2 weeks, and she panicked didn't want to lose all her money and sold. And then, of course, the minute she sold, things went back up again. And I recently did the same thing with Bitcoin. Bitcoin was reaching all-time highs at 60, and then 65, and then it almost went to $70,000 per Bitcoin. And I said, wow, things are so exciting, I better buy 10 Bitcoins. So I invested, well, you can figure it out, but a lot of money, most of my money in Bitcoins at around 60. And, well, to my great surprise, it went to 68. But instead of selling, I was waiting for it to go to the moon, like $1 million a Bitcoin. So I would be a filthy rich person. But nope, it dropped. Now, can you believe it dropped from 60,000 plus where I bought it to 15,000? But by this time, I had been so burned so many times by buying at the top and then selling at the bottom. When it got to 15, and I was then worried, oh my God, it's going to go to zero. Nope. I said, this time I'm going to hold it. And so slowly in the last few months, it's December 2023 right now, but in the last couple of months, it's gone from 15 to 40. So it's coming back, but I'm still underwater quite a bit. But the lesson I want to give you potential investors is try not to buy at the all-time highs. Don't be influenced by the fact that you're being told, oh, this is an opportunity and you don't want to lose it. No. It's hard to buy at the all-time low because nobody knows what that is. And I have a story about my gold stocks coming up. But the point is, we're looking at a new place that just opened. Wow. Looks very fancy. I don't know if we should go there. Take a picture of that place or forget it. Well, let's walk by it. It smells very good. It's a steak and shake place. Very fancy building. Wow. Parking for hundreds of cars. They must expect a lot of business. Well, in any event, getting back to investing. Okay, so I thought, maybe 10 years ago that I was pretty smart and I would never invest at the top anymore. I would only invest at the bottom. And so a friend of mine said, oh, you know what? Gold stocks. Some gold stocks were $100 a share, and now they were down to their, according to him anyway, they were down to their all-time lows. And what was that all-time low? Maybe 40. So I said, okay, I'm going to put my remaining bankroll into gold stocks. And I bought about 15 or 20 gold stocks. Now they have junior gold stocks, little mines in Canada. They have senior gold stocks where they've been around for 50 or 100 years. And so I bought a big selection of gold stocks at the low, all-time low, because gold itself had gone down a lot, and the gold stocks had gone down even more. Well, guess what? That theory didn't work out so well either, because if the gold stocks I bought were an average of $40 a share, they went down to $5. So the moral of the story is your own business. That's what's good. Your own business. If you can buy dough for $1 a cup and make 6 donuts at $1 each, you'll get $6 back for every dollar you invest in your own business. And that goes for any product or service. There's no way you will turn $1 into $6 in a day on any stock, unless it's a miracle. So my advice about investing is have your own business, virtually any product or service, and you will do better than putting it in what I call a passive investment. Now, there was another theory that you can't lose on bonds. And maybe a year ago, bonds were paying 1% interest. So if you put $100 or euros in a bond, you would get $1 a year on your investment. So it only took 100 years to get your investment back. But at least they were safe. Guess what? When the interest rate went to 5%, the bond went down to 20. So you lost 80% of your capital. Boy, not a very good thing. So once again, I say, invest in yourself. If you learn how to do something, to be a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, a nurse, a barber, anything, you'll do much better than investing in some kind of so-called investment product. And that will take us to our next topic. Now, I'm going to talk about getting investment advice from friends. Now, sometimes you have a friend who has been quite successful in their investments in the stock market or passive investments. And I once had a friend who showed me his chart that he'd made over 1,000 stock market deals with almost no losses. So I followed his advice, and of course, as usual, I had big losses on everything he recommended. And even in my own life, I had a girlfriend, and I invested in a few things that worked out, and she said, I want to make some easy money too. So I recommended a few things to her, and of course they went sour immediately. So the moral of the story is you have to make your own decisions, and there's a book that's recommended by that famous investor, Warren Buffett. Well, anyway, he says, look at a company that has very good management and a long-term record of dividends, and don't expect to double your money, but invest for the long term. And so he does that, and he makes his 6 to 10% a year, which is better than nothing, although it really is just about keeping up with inflation. So once again, to repeat, at the risk of boring you, get into your own profession or business, offer some service or some product that you can make, and obviously you have to buy it at $1 and sell it for $4 to come out well, because there's advertising costs, you have to live, you have to pay rent. So 1 to 4 is the usual markup on products that you're going to make yourself. Now I'm going to talk about art collecting. Are you ready? Okay, here we go. Now we're going to quickly turn around. Whoop, and look at this, a Kandinsky. Now, one of the reasons I bought that Kandinsky is that I heard Kandinsky paintings were going for $40 or $50 million at the time. And, well, how can you go wrong when you can get a copy made for $50? So this is my $50 Kandinsky, but it's an exact replica. You'd need a microscope to tell the difference between this painting and the real one, which is in some museum. And then we go over here, and here is, what's her name? The artist who did this one? I forgot. Lempicka. Well, this is another one in the $1 million range. And I had that copied. And, you know, for $50 or $100, I think the frame cost more than the painting. But here I have it, and when somebody comes over and they see all my paintings, they say, oh, wow, you got hundreds of millions of dollars of paintings. Now, here's my best painting. Oh, boy. Look at this one here. I keep it above the potatoes. Have a quick look at the potatoes. There we are. And this was featured in a movie. It's The Golden Girl? It's Golden something by Paul Klee, right?
No,
wrong.
Gustav
Klimt.
Klimt.
Sorry. Gustav Klimt. And so I think this one was about $100 million. And I got an exact copy. I think I paid extra for this. This was 150. See, a lot of work and a lot of gold leaf. And so that's my theory on investing in art. And now we're going to look at a few other of my famous paintings. How about this one by who?
Vincent van Gogh.
Vincent van Gogh. Give a close-up of this painting. Look at that. So for $100, I got a multi-million-dollar painting. And here's a little Picasso. Wow. How many people have art collection like this? And this is by me. Wow, another beauty. And here's a nude. That's not even a copy. That's just a postcard. Okay, and now I'm going to show you the most expensive painting in the world. Cut. Now here, this last year was the most expensive painting in the world. It sold at auction for, I think, around $100 million. It's a Vincent van Gogh original painting. And if you came into my apartment and looked at it, you'd say, wow, you must be a rich guy to have a Vincent van Gogh. But it was $100 for the picture and $100 for the frame. And it would take a real expert with a microscope to know the difference. So I'm wondering, how can somebody pay $100 million for what I pay $100 for? Well, that's a big mystery. And now here's a real painting belonging to the family. It's my great-great-great-great-great-grandfather in Deutschland. How about that? Well, it was getting a little cold out there, so I thought we'd come in and finish up this historic video number 3 with a teaser. You know what a teaser is? Well, that's something that when you have a serial like this blog, you want to get the viewer to come back. And so I'm going to give you an exciting teaser. But first, we're going to look at my art collection. Look at this guy. Wow. Another piece of copy. See, the original is in a museum, but here I have a very nice copy that I enjoy just as much. Okay. Now here, I had 5 wives. Can you believe that? Or 6, including the present one. And tomorrow, I'm going to make another video, and I'm going to tell you one of the best stories I have about one of the prettiest wives I had. Now here is going to be her picture. Come on over here with me. And here, I won't tell you her name, but she was young and beautiful. And guess who the guy on the top hat is? Me. Okay. Now I was, I guess I was about 35 at the time. And this lady, she was rich and beautiful and sexy. What else do you want in a woman, right? Even smart. Okay. The feminists won't like me saying that. But it doesn't matter. Okay, so in our next video, I'm going to tell you one of my best stories about this lady and an adventure that we had. So keep tuned, and Merry Christmas. It's Christmas 2023, and we'll see you in a day or two. Bye bye. So long.